Neurodiversity is an ever-growing diagnosis in our society, and today myself and Paul are going to discuss ADHD, which is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
We are the Happy Heathers, and we're going to discuss what do you do if you find that you have ADHD. Now, I suspect that I might be a bit ADHD. I've never been diagnosed, never been tested for it. You suspect that you are.
I'd say so, yeah.
But what are the signs and what are the symptoms of it? Well, I can be very impulsive.
Yes.
You've said that in a non-complimentary way. I'll let it go for the moment.
Yeah.
So, how do you know if you've got ADHD?
Well, first of all, it's important to say that we're not clinical psychologists, and if somebody is going to, look for a diagnosis in any neurodivergency, that's your first port of call. Definitely you need to speak to a clinical psychologist. But there are certain traits that we have, that might indicate that you have it, like, you find it hard to focus. I think it's easy to pick up if you have a kid in school, whereas when you're an adult, you have choices and you can kind of go your own path, but it's easier to pick up ADHD when you're watching your kid in school. Are they able to sit down? Are they able to concentrate? Are they able to do homework? Or are they throwing themselves on the floor? Most kids don't like doing homework, but a child with ADHD cannot do it.
I would contend that it's not in our nature to sit at a desk for 7 hours.
Not everybody anyway, no. It's not for everyone.
No.
Some people are amazing though, like code hackers and all sorts of things, like they're into tech and they can sit doing that. But then again, the tech of today has kind of, I suppose, evolved to suit people with ADHD. When you think about it.
I am the type of bloke that I can't stay at any particular subject or topic for long.
Yeah.
I get fed up. Even I was saying to a colleague this morning that even watching videos on YouTube, if something's any longer than maybe 10 minutes, I decide not to watch it. Because I know unless it really grips me, I'm not going to watch it for the 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Somebody else had sent me a video clip and she wanted my opinion on this. And it was about the narcissist personality in relationships.
Yeah.
And a couple of days later she texted me and said, what do you think of the video? And I go, I haven't watched it. And the reason I haven't watched it is because it's 44 minutes long. I will not sit down for 44 minutes to do anything.
Yeah. So straight away the time frame puts you off. Instead of breaking it down into, I'll watch it for 10 or 15 minutes and then I'll come back and watch another bit.
Yeah, and that is a strategy that's worked for me. I will do things in half-hour segments.
Yeah.
So half-hour blocks are doable.
Yeah.
As long as I know I'm not going to be stuck at this thing for hours.
Yeah.
It really will drain me of enthusiasm if I think I have to sit down and do something for 2 or 3 hours.
But then you managed to get through college though. Like when I went to college, I loved what I was studying. Do you know, I absolutely loved studying. The first course was addiction studies and the next one then was like counselling and psychotherapy, and then I went on to study other things. And I was always able to focus on that because I was interested in it. But if you're not interested in something, you're not going to study it or focus on it. Or, like I had no interest in learning maths.
Yeah.
None.
I'm learning to speak French at the moment, and so I listen on Pimsleur. It's a good app because it teaches you how to speak the language with the local accent. So you fit in.
Oh, cool.
So it's a half-hour lesson each day, and I listen to it while I'm walking. But I find when I'm getting to the end of my walk, sometimes my mind is just saturated, and even the simplest things I just cannot say in French. Simple things that might have been lessons way back, because my mind is just saturated and I need to switch this off.
Yeah.
And go on to something else. And if I was to come back to it half an hour later, I'm a genius at it. Suddenly everything is available to me.
Wow.
And I know. And I find that I do a crossword online every morning. I think about 6,000 of them done now. But sometimes I get really stuck at the thing and I just cannot see. It gives you 7 letters and it tells you that these make as many words as these.
Oh, I do that as well.
Yeah.
Wordly, I think it's called, or something.
It's a little bit like that. But sometimes I'm just, I just can't do it. I'll just go away from it, and then I'll switch it on. Maybe 10-15 minutes later, and go, there's all the words.
Yeah, then you feel them.
So
yeah, you get too much of it.
So I've trained myself to concentrate and to remember things, but it takes an enormous amount of effort.
Yeah.
I don't naturally do it.
Yeah, I find that as well. It is harder to concentrate on things, you know, if you're not that way naturally inclined, I suppose. You have to learn it.
Yeah.
But if you're really truly interested in it, you will focus on it.
And you
for sure.
totally absorb it.
Yeah. I think like ADHD, the deficit part is where you get distracted easily, like, you know, things are, you know, the teacher's in front of you, for example, and they're giving you a lesson and you're learning about that. But then other things outside you, you know, a light flashes outside the window, or, you know, somebody drops a pen over here, and your brain is constantly searching for stimulation all the time, you know.
Do you know what I do? And you might do it too. I will leave sticky notes and reminders all over the place, over the walls and everything.
Oh, gosh.
But I instantly forget that I put them there.
Who's
and
that
what I'll
number?
do is, I'll come back to something 3 months later, and I've written down maybe 3 keywords on a yellow post-it thing. I go, what is that in relation to? And I might spend 10 or 15 minutes trying to rack my brain to think about another.
That's the early onset of just Alzheimer's.
Doesn't matter.
It's getting old, you know.
But sure enough, later on in the day, what that sticky note meant will pop back into my head. Oh yes, that's something I need to do. And I'll put another sticky note up with the same thing, and I'll go through the thing again.
Oh my God, never ending cycle.
Never ending cycle. That's why I get nothing done.
Oh my God.
But my contention, like ADHD, isn't necessarily a negative.
No.
Some professions lend themselves really well to ADHD.
Yeah. Well, we're both self-employed.
Yeah.
You know, we're entrepreneurs. Definitely. We're very creative. I think like most people with ADHD are extremely creative. Like, I mean, that part of their brain just booms, like, you know, writers, artists. And then, of course, you have to be creative to be an entrepreneur as well, don't you, Paul? Like,
but especially when somebody's trying to understand a problem or a behaviour or something that's going on for them, I can sometimes just see the connections. They just kind of click into space. And the person themselves mightn't be able to see that maybe even till, you know, a session or two later.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing, isn't it? I remember taking a job one time as a clinical manager, and my colleague of mine at the time said to me, "You're not going to last more than 2 years in that job, Siobhan." And I was like, "What? What do you mean?" Like, and he said, "Your entrepreneurial spirit is too strong. You're not going to last. Like, it'll bore you to death, you know." And that is exactly what happens to me. I get bored.
Yeah.
2 years in, I start getting bored because it's the same thing, and I have it all inside out, upside down.
There's nothing for you anymore.
Condensed things into quicker, easier, faster, better ways of doing it, and that's it. Then I'm bored.
No interest. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that I have to be constantly growing and learning and evolving, you know.
Some of the jobs, some of the professions that lend themselves well to ADHD are something like somebody works in an emergency ward.
Oh yeah.
Where there's lots of patients coming in and have to attend to this one, make a decision quickly as to what needs to be done, then they have to go to the next one, and then to the next one. Yeah. They don't get to sit down and plan and kind of write out notes as to what the person could be dead.
Yeah, they don't have time for that. Absolutely.
Air traffic controllers, isn't that one?
Yeah.
Where you have to make the decision, that plane's coming in on this trajectory, this one's on that one. Yeah. Oh, maybe I'll sit down and write an essay on it. No, you need to decide.
There's 20 planes coming
instantly.
They all need to be timed
there and then,
to perfection, and they can make those decisions really fast.
Yeah. So ADHD isn't necessarily a negative. It's about managing how you are and understanding the way that you think and using it to your best advantage.
Knowing what you're going to be good at. Again, I would say the creative jobs as well, like chefs or cooks.
Oh, chefs in the kitchen, Oh God, I hate that.
That's a busy freaking job.
Oh, I'd hate that.
Oh my God, yeah, it's mental. Writers, fitness coaches. I definitely think my fitness coach has ADHD.
Why?
He's always hopping from one foot to the other, and he talks super fast.
Well, you see, that's the other side of ADHD that I forget. I think that the deficit is the hyper.
Yeah.
The enthusiasm getting into things.
Yeah.
And that is, the two things definitely go hand in hand.
Yeah, it's like you get in this zone. I definitely get in that zone where I'm like, and then the next time I'm like,
yeah.
Jaded. So we do have to mind ourselves, you know, if we are. But my supervisor is a clinical psychologist, and he often laughs at me. He's like, "Have you ADHD? Much
I think you got
ADHD
much.
there?
I think you got everything that's going. You could study her if you want to kind of study psychology.
That'd be quite an interesting case.
See all
conceptualization.
See all the neurosis that's going on. We are the happy headers. Like us, subscribe to us. Thank you for subscribing to us and liking. If you like us, it helps the algorithm, our videos get out to more people. We really appreciate it, and it facilitates us in doing more videos like this. Talk to you soon.
Guys.